Hello, everyone. It's Scott here. I'm here because I couldn't sleep. I started getting into aquaponic systems, and it was very, very exciting. So I had to share a few ideas. But first, I'm going to share someone else's ideas, and then share my thoughts on it while we go.
And this volume.
Okay, so I just wanted to pause this. See, they grow each acre of aquaponics manages to grow about 5,000 pounds of food a day, and I'll finish watching the video here. But the way it is, if you put a lip with a piece of wood, so like for example, you just put a little lip underneath, and you put the board over top, allowing for the platform to float and hold. You could grow corn easily in a system like this, as long as you had it stable on each side, and you grow them close enough together, but not too close. They would stabilize each other all on its own, which is pretty cool.
We can feed everybody with a tiny footprint. So here in the
Interest in aquaponics. So one thing I wanted to point out that I don't agree with is using the styrofoam, because styrofoam wears away very quickly and it has a harsh chemical in it. I would rather use cedar planks if you can find them for a decent price. They're probably using the styrofoam because cedar maybe wasn't available, but I just thought I'd point that out.
they say it takes
I just wanted to point out that up north, the leftovers and the excess, those would go to the pigs, the chickens. That'd be perfect, especially year round. Like livestock would love that, and then you get to off all the good stuff. But I mean, they use it for fertilizer and they slowly compost it. Well, let's give it to the animals, let them compost it faster, eh? Thank you for listening. Let's finish.
and
See, what I was referring to though is that if you put a lip on each side and use cedar, so it would slide in along the lip, it'd still be under the water, like just a board on each side. It would stabilize the platform better, making it so you grow heavier vegetables like corn or stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. Anyways, also these little pond ideas for the fish, it works for them. I want bigger ponds. I consider it kind of cruel to have one little fishy by himself. They're actually, believe it or not, very social animals. They grow better and faster when they're with other people, or sorry, other fish. I mean, sorry. Well, guys, you saw the video there. That's pretty awesome. These guys are like the gurus of aquaponics. Their system could use a little work. There's also the possibility of using for leafy greens a wall system using PVC pipe through a sprinkler system, and apparently that works very, very well as well. The list goes on. There's so much new stuff. My biggest thing is that when you're up where there's not very much soil and being able to grow corn, and apparently when I Googled it, corn is very easy to grow with aquaponics in the right conditions. I think that platform that when he pulled it up there would be perfect for corn. You would just make it so that way it's a little farther apart, maybe about 5 inches. Now, corn, when it's first started up, it needs to rely on each other to be stable because they're too weak. But as they get bigger, they grow out and stuff. So you can't have them too close. But if you have them close enough, they can support each other as they move along, which is nice. And so every about 5 or 6 inches. So even if you put them too close, you can move the little bins as they get too many, and then expand them into other containers as they get bigger. So that way they don't need as much support. That's always an option as well. So either way, I'm very impressed with what they have. There's always another system. If you could actually do this simply out of your basement, be very, very, very careful and watch what plants you use, because if you use the wrong plants, you'll get black mold. And make sure you don't have anything that needs to be pollinated. So unless you want to have bees in your basement, which if you want to, go ahead, but I would put plastic everywhere. But if you don't want to have bees, watch on the plants that don't. So basic lettuce, yes. Under the right circumstances, absolutely. There's a lot of great processes to the system, and I think this would make a huge difference for aquaponics. We're going to be putting up 30, 40 acres of greenhouses. I know the one we want to make it almost like a gigantic tanks for well, and then would have greenhouses underneath it or on each side of it, so that way it would go to the plants and stuff. And the reason why I wanted to do that in one area is because we could grow kelp in those big tanks, and with sea urchins, shrimp, and there was one other one too, snails maybe, and crawfish. Those would be really, really good, kind of thing. They would grow very quickly in that type of system. They would still give more than enough waste for that. And the reason why sea urchins are, if they have the right food supply, I think they can grow in freshwater and saltwater, but we'll have to test it. And the reason why sea urchins are really good is because a couple 100 grams of it, and it goes for $100 a tray for sushi. Now, it's not all about money, but apparently it's really good and healthy for you, even though they're really weird, ugly looking things, eh? Uh, so it kind of comes in handy. Um, yeah, it's just amazing what you can do. And I was thinking, like with these tanks, you make them about 5 feet, kind of thing. You'd have to, or 6 feet, or high as you wanted to go, I suppose, and as much as we needed, and just have one walkthrough area so you can kind of see how things were going, and maybe just have so it's just a tunnel, maybe, and people can walk through. It'd be pretty cool. And how you go from each greenhouses and have all the pipes going through to pick up the waste and stuff like that. And you could also even probably put salmon in there too. So um, now we plan on using salmon and rainbow trout in most of our setups, but in a big tank like that, the more fish you have, the better. And then keep having it set up so that way, uh, like, I mean, the kelp is more or less to feed the sea urchins. However, if people like kelp, that's awesome, right? And it's not that hard to grow, apparently. It's actually quite easy once you get the hang of it. Yes, kelp normally grows in salt water, but any plant can grow in anything if you do it the right way, but it's worth a try. And kelp is one of the highest nutrients for plants. Whether you like it or not, it's still very healthy for you. And yeah, I just thought it would be kind of cool to have like that whole aquarium kind of thing up, and then have like a tunnel go through, have this one way and then go the other way, and then that way the fish can go over top and you can actually see them swim around. And then when you go to get the fish and stuff, or the sea urchins or anything like that, so we're talking about a whole acre, like not just one little thing. The reason why you'd have the tunnels is so you can move food back and forth, or stuff like that, as well as people to come see it. I mean, come on, that'd be so cool to have. You'd have glass on that part only, and then you'd be able to see everything that goes on, and just a tunnel right through. And then the rest would all be kind of like a pond setup, but we'll make it work. It I'm no engineer on that, so I'll leave that to the experts on that. But I think that would be really, really cool to be able to do a kind of system. And then you'd have uh, uh, 9 other greenhouses on the other sides. So you have another 9 acres that pond would feed for the greenhouses. Those would filter the water and bring it back. So you have such a massive pond, so to speak, or a mini lake, pretty much. You would have more than enough ability to do that. And then we could mass, like, say, grow corn. Apparently, you can grow wheat in there. You can, with aquaponics, you can grow anything. Apparently, almost. I want to say everything. Apparently, you can do it with squash. You can also do pumpkins, cucumbers. Cucumbers wouldn't be a bad thing. Strawberries. Everyone loves strawberries, right? But strawberries are the easy fruit, though, to grow. You have them on little trays and they go across, and you can have them every foot, right, or foot and a half, kind of thing, and you just keep having it so that way the water comes down one deal and then it goes down and down like you're going like a marble, just a little bit of an angle, right? And then the plants just absorb that water like crazy, and they go nuts for it, right? And then it filters the heck out of the water like anything, and then you get delicious fruit all the time. It's just a matter of having it set up the right way, so you're not having to have like huge ladders to go up. But it all depends who doesn't mind doing it too. Like, 'cause you can get the lift things, and then just kind of harvest strawberries. If we could actually come up with a system maybe where we could actually have it kind of harvest itself too. That wouldn't be a bad thing. Kind of have system identify when it starts getting a little bit red, snip, and then it collects all the berries for us. And technology is getting to be really awesome. It's just amazing how far in advance that we've gone. Now I know there's 0 views on this video because I'm actually distributing to YouTube, and we probably will be doing that from now on. And then just sharing to the rest of the platforms. So yeah, please subscribe, like our video, like our Facebook page. If you haven't signed the Constitution, please do so. If you'd like to learn more, go to canundnation.com. It's right in the back here, right above me here on the background. Yeah, so we are, essentially what we are is a First Nations group. We started off with people that had no tribe over many generations, from residential schools, 60 scoops, child welfare, kidnapping scam, and they don't call it that yet, but they will. They get $100,000 extra per year to take a child that's Indigenous from their parents, or First Nations, Inuit, Métis, stuff like that. Now, one thing that isn't quite shared a lot. Now, the residential schools, the Doukhobors, Russians lost their kids because they. Okay, so for people who don't know what the Doukhobors are similar to kind of like a Hutterite or Mennonite kind of thing, kind of like the community religious aspect, but they're more involved with the community kind of things. So that was kind of one of my things where I thought I'd share, because people don't realize that it wasn't just First Nations children that were taken to residential schools. It was also the Doukhobors, the Irish, Scottish lost their children too, half mixed, Métis, the list goes on. They just took any kids they could. And they still do that today. Like, they even take kids from every other family kind of thing, whatever they can, just to be, and I mean, most provinces, only 1 in 12 kids need to be in care. As a well-proven fact, the guy did a study of whole cross, and 1 in 24 to 1 in 36 to actually only need to be in care in Manitoba. Manitoba is the worst. It's so privatized, and every government comes in and says, "Oh, we're gonna fix it," and then they never do. Why? Because none of them know how to fix it. It's simple. Shut the funding down. Bring in your own system first, and yeah, stop paying these workers for kidnapping our kids and pay them for working with the kids only. And then when kids actually need to be put in care, it make a huge difference. And it wouldn't make it so that way new parents or single parents or First Nation or Indigenous parents aren't targets anymore. Anyone who they consider weak or stuff like that, there's a specific reason why when they come to you and they ask, "Are you in a gang? Do you have any weapons?" And you're like, "No, what the heck," right? If they come to your door, say you're part of a gang. Why? Because they don't that scares them, and they won't want to touch your kids so much, and or grab your kids so easily. I know it sounds like bad advice, but in this case, it's pretty good. Thanks to Bill C-50 Indigenous Act allows us under 7.2, so no third party can grab our children. However, if you're in the city and your First Nations, they consider you non-Indigenous pretty much. So they'll still take your kids. Unfortunately, it sucks. But on the reserve, then they've trained a lot of these workers to do the exact same thing they're doing, and First Nations. So where we're going north, we have a whole different system in mind. We've made it so that way workers have no say-so in how kids are dealt with. It has to be sheriff or one of the deputies. They have to prove. So say if sheriff or deputies took the kids and there was no proof whatsoever that the kids needed to be moved to the neighbors for a few days, that they can get in trouble. yeah, I know a system that actually uh, holds people accountable, right? Same like having every council that can be held accountable, and that's why you have the Grand Council. They oversee everything, make sure to avoid corruption, and allowing us to move forward, eh? Well, anyways, I just kind of wanted to get on here tonight and show you the bit of the aquaponics, and sharing that idea for the corn thing. Like you had the set up so that way it's just not quite out of the water, but have it so that way the boards are like that, and then the other board can just slide across it, so it's still in the water, but enough it will hold it stable when you are moving it or when it's sitting, kind of thing. So this way the corn just doesn't flop and go over because it's too top heavy, right? Has something to sit on, at least on each side. Then when you go to move it, it's just a matter of sliding it across with ease, and you don't have to worry about it toppling over each other, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I think with this system is pretty awesome. The reason why I'm concerned about corn is, well, corn tastes great. Everyone loves corn, right? But white corn, for example, can be normally in normal conditions grown in 60 days. I think in aquaponics we might be able to grow each month, maybe a month and a half, and cut that time down a bit. But the reason why white corn is used for cornflakes. We're going to need cereal. And we can make our own cornflakes, and then with us making our own honey, or producing our own honey, we could probably put a thin coat of honey on the cornflakes as they go and make honey flakes, which would be pretty cool. And for residents, we're pretty much limiting most of all plastics, stuff like that. Even there's no garbage system. There's 5 bins for recycling. One of them is composting, stuff like that. For most products, they'll go in either different sized jars, and we'll be bringing the equipment up eventually to set up those jars. Now we'll have like a deposit system for those. So when you return them, how it works is you don't quite get your money back, but how it works is that it just keeps it on the file. So even if it breaks, you just bring back the broken stuff because we can melt it down and put it back into another jar again, right? But as long as it's returned, then you don't have to keep paying as you keep going, right? But if you want to stockpile and keep adding more and more, then it's just a matter of you have no problem with putting more deposit down. Now, after a certain amount of jars, when you come to return them, then we would you just talk to the manager, and they probably reimburse you for some of them, depending on how many you have. I mean, you had like 200, 300 jars. Pretty sure they'd reimburse you for probably about a couple hundred of those. But I'm talking about for like the person has like a couple dozen on average, right? We're trying to come up with a system that it's not about being green, it's just about being efficient, right? And less wasteful. Like when I was showing those greens in that bin there in the barrel, and you're cleaning up all the lettuce, like that could go onto an auger or a screen, and then go right outside the greenhouse. So without even having to leave the greenhouses, you do like a screen system where you put all the waste on these belts, and then they go and they'll take it all the way to where the pigs are, or the chickens, or whichever one you want to feed. You hit the button and it starts moving all the way, and you have a sensor on the other end, so when it's finished doing that, it'll just shut itself off. And then if it doesn't quite finish, just hit the button again, and then emergency shut off in case someone decided to take a ride across, eh? And then, same with the chickens. The chickens would love greens, especially during the winter, right? Now, during the winter, you'd only keep breeding stock, right? And so that way during spring you'd have so you probably to get about 20 to 30,000 piglets. So the bright side is that each pig on average will give birth to on average about 10 piglets at a time. Some I've seen 18 and others 5. So what you do is while the mamas are sleeping, you move them with gloves carefully over. Usually with his caretaker, they won't have a problem, but still be very careful because those mamas are very protective. They will tear a person to shreds if you're not careful. So it's just kind of one of those things. And then after 6 weeks, then you keep some big pigs, even though they're not breeding stock, because those are the pigs that they would follow around the fields. And then you give the mums a break for a couple or about another month, and then you breed them again, and then you do it twice. So you want to have enough to have about 30,000 head or more a year, and I think that'd be pretty cool. Have all different bulls that you keep from different farms if you can. One thing I learned about pig farming when I did it was tams get big, but they're dumb, and they don't have a sense of boundaries. That's what I mean the dumb part. If you have Berkshire mix with them, they seem to respect the fence more. But a tam, they'll take the fence to go, even if it's electric, barbed, whatever, they don't care, right? They can see food on the other side, they take the fence to go. It doesn't matter to them. But Berkshire and Yorkshire mix, so they get the big pigs and stuff like that, then yeah, I mean, and then of course you would castrate all the little males up into the breeding stock, and the reason why you do the males there is so that way they'll grow like 4 times as big and very quickly because the body's not focused on reproduction. Plus, you only need so many males, and you don't want the females getting pregnant too early. Either way, if we can have those greens go out to them, and with aquaponics, you can grow fruit trees. You can every type of fruit tree apparently. You can grow a lot of stuff. So, and you just have to put gravel down and have it so it goes from bin to bin to bin kind of thing. Sorry, I heard a noise. It must have been snow falling off the roof. Like even potatoes, apparently. There's a lot of different things. Yeah, it's just, you name it, they've kind of been growing it. I've even seen the ones where the potatoes where they take 5-gallon pails and then they cut off the side and they keep them enclosed or just barrels, and they plant a few potatoes with soil, and at the end of the growing season they just tip the barrel sideways, pick the potatoes up, shovel the soil back in, and there you go, right? The only problem with that is then you got to go through a whole growing season, like 3-4 months, right? Depending on how well it wants to cooperate. Whereas aquaponics, usually fish will grow 6 times faster, and plants will grow 8 times faster, 6 to 8 times faster anyways. So yeah, it's quite interesting to see how it goes, and each acre can produce, well, like you said, 5,000 plants a day. And so on average, each one of those plants is about a pound or more, so about 5,000 pounds. That's not including the fish. That's just greens, which is pretty cool. And then the bright side is really no waste in a system like this, because anything, again, goes to livestock. From old fruit that don't quite match up. See, fruit you'd put like a netting thing, so that way when it gets to a certain point, you could take a drone and just snip all the deals, stems, and then the apples or whatever fruit would go with fine netting. Peaches, stuff like that, and make it easier. Even grape trees could come up along the sides. It just, there's so much you can do. Like even at 40 acres, you could still never grow enough food, eh? And the bright side is with this is especially during the winter, you wouldn't need to worry about too much water. You could set it up so that way all the water that hits the roof would melt, and then it comes in. You filter it, and you could even rainwater too. And then you boil it so it gets rid of any harmful chemicals. And then through a boiler system, and then the boiler system would go through the flooring and keep everything nice and warm, or through the bottom of the beds. That works too, and it helps to heat the greenhouses. And then it's added to the water to make it fresh. So there's a lot of different options. I've seen so many amazing designs. From just a regular PCP pipe, like just a 4-inch drain pipe going straight up, and them melting it out and putting lettuce on all of it. I didn't even see strawberries that way. No, strawberries wouldn't be a bad deal that way, because strawberries will get so far, and then they produce, and then it just yeah. So, but what I think the biggest thing is with strawberries is I think we're gonna make most progress is making jams and storing it that way. Uh, we'll probably grow a whole acre of tomatoes. I'm pretty sure Brian won't be happy about that. I love tomatoes. A lot of people love tomatoes. But if we're going to make spaghetti sauce, if we're going to make a lot of different things, we're going to need a lot of tomatoes, right? Including ketchup. We're going to have to grow mustard. Not a lot of it, only because people love mustard, right? Apparently, it's quite easy to make your own mayo if you know how, but it's regular mayo grown from or produced from scratch, and you can do it with butter and a few other things. It only lasts 5 days. It has less salt and stuff like that, and it actually apparently tastes better. I haven't tried it, but I've seen a few recipes. So it's quite possible for us to actually do very well up there and survive no problem. And I know we'll definitely be getting a lot of some lemon trees up there, and the reason why is because there'll be lots of fish. I don't know about you, but I love eating fish, whether it be wild or grown if in the right circumstance. Fish, I love fish. Wild's always got a better taste to it sometimes, but I mean, salmon's fresh. Oh, so good, right? And yeah, it's wonderful. So there's a lot of things we're going to be doing. The bright side is like we're not going to be farming any of this fish in outside of ponds, so we don't have to worry about it contaminating local wildlife. So it's not like the netting in the regular lakes and stuff. Now that makes sense during the season, but again, we don't want anything getting out in the wild that shouldn't be in there, right? Yeah, I don't know what else to say. There's been a lot going over a lot here. I couldn't sleep. I had a lot of caffeine, as you can probably tell, and I got some work done tonight, and it was really nice. Love what we've been doing with the system. I love the aquaponics. I think the aquaponics could provide way more than enough food than we'll ever need. And I mean, heck, we might not even need to have to feed our livestock with grain if we can feed them on greens and stuff, especially pigs. But like we'll still have dairy cows and stuff like that. And then if we have too much milk, you can always give the milk to the pigs again. The chickens just love the greens. So do turkeys. So do any poultry. Eh? Another good thing is if you want to, and I know everyone hates dandelions, but the bees love them. It's one of the best deals to pollinate, other than a few other wildflowers. But the reason why dandelions would be great because you make tea out of it, and then all the leafy greens is perfect for livestock. So they give such nutrients to the animals. It's not even funny on everything, and they love it. They eat it like it's cocaine or something to them. And I've seen it because we're going to harvest them from the garden. Although we're trying to grow them that year, we do maybe a square meter and we fill 3 wheelbarrows and plants. Like, I've never seen dandelions get about 3-4 feet tall and around. Like, they had good soil there for sure. And we just kept picking them and giving them to the livestock. And yeah, every time you just dump it in there, it'd be gone like in a matter of seconds. It's not like we didn't feed them. So they're along the outsides of the greenhouses. That's always a good idea, is if you can do that. But just pick them while they're orange and don't let them seed, and you'll be pretty good. And they just kind of keep growing back, right? But yeah, as long as you kind of harvest them every 3 or 4 days, that makes a huge difference. And you can take the flower parts for some really healthy tea, and then the others can be used for the livestock. Yeah, so there's a lot of different things. Like even cows like green stuff. They just can't have alfalfa that's green. And alfalfa is mostly for cows. So I know a lot of our fields, if we clear we'll be using for we'll be planting grass and like heavy grass seed, like bluegrass and oats mix. Now, the reason why I suggest this is because oats will grow wildly in with grass, no problem, and keep growing, and then you can bale it and you use it for all the animals as well. And it's more natural too, so you could even have your animals running around on it, kind of thing, and clean it up, and you get a lot more from it too. You can harvest about 2-3 times a year, depending on the grow season. And I mean, of course, there's other vegetables that be growing too. The underground greenhouses. If we can find pockets of soil, we'll build underground greenhouses. So let me explain here. There's up there, it's kind of weird. So like between two rock faces, there's a lot of soil and gravel and sand mix, and you'll know you got soil when there's a whole bunch of plants and trees and everything in there. So you move the trees, you got that soil. Sometimes they go down 50, 60 feet. Now the advantage is you got solid rock on each side. You just need to put the greenhouses above, and they got soil below, which is pretty cool. And then you can grow all the trees, fruit trees if you wanted to. You can grow other vegetables like turnip, beets, even potatoes down there too. It helps like right next to the trees. Yeah, so there's lots of potential for growing a lot of food. I mean, the aquaponic system alone with 10 acres would take about 200 staff. And so when we're thinking we might expand almost 40 acres eventually over 2 years and eventually get to all those other things, to growing corn, the whole 9 yards, not just to grow it fresh, but I mean, because yeah, I mean, 10% will go to fresh and then the rest will be going to making other foods, right? And then 10% goes to seed. And I think 10% will go to like livestock as well. But I'm pretty sure they wouldn't mind cornflakes either, especially the chickens, right? But yeah, no, I think that'd be pretty cool. And then we could also make cornmeal out of it if we want to. Wheat, we need our bread, right? We can grow our own grains, and then the oats with the grass, that would come in handy. And then barley. And we'd grow barley and like oats in the grass kind of thing and mix with that. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I'm just getting tired. It's been up most of the night. I just kind of want to share that with you. It's I'm kind of the guy who, if I don't share while I still have it on my brain, it won't be shared. Eh? So I do want to say thank you very much for listening. Please share, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and give us thumbs up and hit the bell so that way you get instant notification when we go live again, because I'm pretty much going to be going live all this time. And also, we still have the fundraiser going on to get the bank up and running. Well, not the bank, sorry, the trust. No, people are wondering why, a lot of people haven't been doing it. That's okay. We have a few people that have donated we've raised about $200. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. People are nice enough to donate, and that was pretty cool. We're not in a rush to get that because we have a lot of different things we're raising capital with. I just figured, well, we put it out there. If people wanted to do the CMTs, that'd be a great thing to do, right? So, anyways, you guys have yourself a great day and a great weekend. I know a lot of people are going to be at that protest. Either way, subscribe, like, share. Thank you very much. May the Creator be with you, and may God be with you.